Hey there, Variety here. Welcome to today's video in which we're going to be doing a class guide for the Phantom Necromancer for Tarisland. The Phantom Necromancer has both a DPS spec and a healer spec in Tarisland, and I would say that they're probably slightly higher on the difficulty scale when it comes to how difficult the class is. The DPS, while kind of straightforward for people who have played, MMOs with a lot of buttons, it is definitely more complicated than some of the other DPS classes, such as a Berserker and, let's say, a Ranger. The Healer class relies a little bit more intimate knowledge with your build as well, because it revolves around you saving up your flowers and holding them for the right time. That is your main damage reduction ability, and it's not as straightforward as something, say, the Priest. Due to this, I'm going to give a bit more of an explanation for this class before both the DPS build and the healer build, because I want you to get a solid understanding for this class. I think it's a cool class to play, but I can see some people not fully understanding it, failing once they start getting up into 30 plus dungeons and then dropping the class because, they didn't have a full explanation. So I'm going to add a bit of extra information. As usual, we're going to have a look at the rotations, and then we'll have a look at a DPS PvE fight and a healer fight. Is going to be focused more upon using Spectral and using Soul Tap than the other build that is more about, bursting with your other ability. Okay, so first up, we're going to summon our Spectral, which you need 5 charges. Then we're going to use Soul Tap to get our charges back. You'll see how this proc? This proc because I use Soul Tap. So because it's procced, I get to use it for free. It doesn't cost any soul, and I can use it, it resets the cooldown, so I can use it twice really quickly. So this here is my damage boosting ability, and it also gives me more charges. So for example, I can summon my shadow, then use it and get my charges back. Now I'm going to use Soul Burst to activate Soul Arrow Plus. Look what happens now. See how I'm doing all that extra damage? That's because I activated my Soul Burst before using Soul Arrow. So this build is focused around using your Soul Tap to get charges for your Spectral, so you can summon the Ghost. Once you hold the Ghost up, you're then going to use Soul Tap to activate Soul, your Soul Elgi ability twice, and then you're waiting for your Soul Burst to come up to do massive burst with your Soul Arrow. When you find that you don't have anything to do, of course you can use a couple extra Bone Spirits. So for example, I can do, one shot costing 1 charge, or you can spam Soul Arrows and do a bit of extra damage, and every now and then get an extra, an extra charge. So let's play for a moment how I usually play. So as you saw there, I was having some issues with my energy. That changes when you get to a slightly higher level and have different talents. So just keep in mind that, it'll change a bit when you get more talents at high, you'll get more energy or things will combo better. And the other build, so the other talent build that I'm going to leave in the spreadsheet below, which I hope that you have been checking out, this Google spreadsheet below the video, I'll have the second talent build for running this build to be a bit more bursty and less focusing on the Spectre. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the healer spec. At this point, I would usually be showing you the PvE portion of the second specialization. However, I want to give a little bit of an explanation about your main ability on this class. I feel like if I explain it in mid-combat, it may get a little bit confusing, and I'll probably get a lot of questions, so we'll get it out of the way now. So the Necro has an ability that links you to your allies. So think of it as a chain, and you chain yourself to allies, and by doing so, you're sharing the damage and the healing. So basically, it's like a group-wide damage reduction and healing, like it's a big buff. But the problem is that you can't just summon it any time. You need flowers. So every time you use your 2 and 3 ability or some of your talents, depending on how you run them, you're going to get vitality. When your vitality fills up, it's going to give you a flower. For each flower you have will determine how many people you link to. So as you can imagine, the more people that you link to when you get damage reduction based upon your talents and your healing, the more people you'll link to, the best. So what you're trying to achieve is that when a boss is going to do a huge AoE, you want to chain to everybody, you want to reduce the damage that's incoming, and then you want to heal them really quickly, okay? So that is going to be the core mechanic for your class. No matter how you play, you can change your talent, you can change to the heal guard, but it'll always revolve around saving up your flowers and using them to chain to your allies. If you don't like the idea of having to save up an energy and holding it for a big boss mechanic, maybe not the healer class for you. But let's keep going and have a look at what the actual class does in combat. Maybe it is for you. So my Q key, when you use your 1 key, your soul herb, what it actually does is it gets more powerful the longer you don't use it, right? So it's going to start stacking up here and it gets more powerful. So you want to use it when it's at 3 stacks, ideally. So the DPS there is taking a tremendous amount of damage for some odd reason. Okay, so let's go down and heal this person. So your second ability here is, what it does is it actually damages the enemy. And the damage it does, so let's say you target the tank, right? It chooses the enemies around the tank, does damage to them, and based upon the damage you deal, it heals your allies, right? So that's how that one works. Third one here is kind of like it's just a dot that heals. However, it also takes HP away after you do the damage, right? So it's not just good. It's not something you necessarily want to be spamming. So here I'm going to use the chain. So I'm going to link to everybody. And it's going to buff my Soul Blossom. So now my Soul Blossom does AoE. So your Soul Blossom becomes AoE after you've chained. Keep that in mind. So here we have Burning Soul. It's a big instant cure, which I'm going to use on the tank when he gets a little bit lower. See how it healed him up? Now, depending on what talents you run, it'll do different effects, rah. But that's the basics of how it works. So I'm going to heal by hitting the enemy. I'm going to use Soul Herb on him, and then I'm going to hit the tank, and I'm going to put Tainted Soul. And then I'm going to heal with my proc. So waiting for it to go to 3 charges again. Heal up again. And the last ability here is a big AoE. I'll show you what it does. So as I mentioned earlier, it does change a bit, like how quickly you get your abilities back, and you kind of want to spam your couple abilities here to get your flowers up as quickly as possible. But if you spam them to get your flowers up and you don't have the cooldowns at the right time, you're gonna wipe your party. So it's not necessarily a good idea to do that. Keep in mind that I did not do this very efficiently because I was kind of showing you what to do. But generally that's how this class plays, even if you change the talents a little bit. But it will play a lot better when you get your get your flowers more often and get your damage reduction in your raids. Okay, so that covers basically everything you need to know for the Necro. I will put multiple builds into the spreadsheet. It may not be there necessarily at the uploading of this video, but I believe that this class definitely deserves a little bit more attention. And when I upload the other 2 healers, I'm going to do a bit of a comparison between the 3 healer classes to give you kind of an idea of where one's strengths are, where one's weaknesses are, like AoE, single target, damage reduction, and things like that. So I hope you do look forward to it. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching.